Good evening, everybody. It's Grant Vinning from Brisbane. Today I wish to talk about worker welfare. Let me explain why. As we know, consumers have become increasingly concerned about the safety of the food that they eat. They don't like eating food with pest and disease problems. As a result, we've now addressed that, how to stop pests and diseases. We tend to use agrochemicals, and that meant that consumers have now become conscious of chemicals in their pest and diseases management in their food. Now, in the PGS system with the code of practice, we've got quite an extensive amount of information dealing with pest and disease management in the code of practice. And in the same way, consumers are now starting to show a greater interest on the workers who produce their food and the environment through which the food is produced. Now, the second one is called environmental sustainability, and Susan's done a presentation on that. What I'm going to do is to concentrate on the first one, that is worker welfare, as a means of us trying to improve ourselves through the code of practice. Now, worker welfare has several aspects. I'll just mention a number of them in this presentation. The first one, possibly the most important one, is that the workers are treated with dignity and fairness. They're not treated as some form of furniture or some form of like a rock or something like that. They are seen to be valued, they are seen to have dignity, they are given a proper presentation in the whole of the operation of where they produce the food. That's the first one. Another one is that the recruitment of those workers should be essentially ethical altogether. Workers should not have to bribe somebody to hire them to pay. Now, one of the issues of recruitment is child labour, and there's been a great deal of debate about child labour. When does a child help out on the family farm, and when is a child considered to be forced labour? That's another issue we'll deal with later. But as part of this issue of the workers working, there needs to be a clear understanding of what are the roles of the worker, what's expected of the worker, what's the worker supposed to be doing. Now, ideally, this is best spelled out in some form of a written contract, but we understand that in many cases, not all workers are literate. But nevertheless, part of a code of practice dealing with worker welfare is that the worker is made abundantly clear as to what are his responsibilities and also what are the responsibilities of the person employing him. At the same time, workers should be free to change their employment if they like. Now, they just can't get up and leave. Many times there's like a contract arrangement. You've got to give so many days notice or so many weeks notice or something like that. But provided the worker complies with that, he should be free to leave where the working is going on. Another absolutely critical part of worker welfare is the issue of safety. Workers need to be clearly instructed if they're dealing with things which could be considered to be perilous to their health. You know, are they taught about pest and disease and the chemicals to handle it? Are they given proper training in the handling of pest and diseases? Are they given proper equipment? But we need to remember a lot of workers deal with sharp knives, spinning machinery, anything which can injure them or cause some damage. So that workers need to be protected from that. They need to be trained, and the equipment and the chemicals and all of this stuff need to be clearly spelled out to the worker. Another aspect of worker welfare is documentation. When a worker joins an employer, the worker shouldn't have to surrender critical important papers, passport, identification papers. I mean, the worker is a free person. He shouldn't have to surrender these, because if that happens, it means that the employer has a form of hold over the worker, and that is not considered worker welfare. Now, I don't want to leave the impression that worker welfare is all negative, and in fact is actually an increasing in cost for an employer. I take the different view, and that is that worker welfare is actually a tool you can use to enhance your marketing. With your PGS group, if you have in your code of practice a worker welfare arrangement, that is more likely to entice a buyer to deal with you rather than with someone who doesn't have such a code of practice dealing with worker welfare. So in that regard, I really welcome you to examine worker welfare and look upon it as a very positive step to improve your marketing through your PGS group. Thank you.